I'm going to be giving you 12 league-winning wide receivers right now that will help you win your playoffs and get you that championship. These are players who are getting air yards, and they are trending up right now. Let's get this started. Let's look at this first batch of players. These are some big names who are trending up. A.J. Brown leads the league with 493 air yards in his last 3 games. He also has an elite 30% target share. Jalen Hurts' injury is very interesting here. Could impact these numbers, but this trend is just alpha. Talking about alpha numbers here, we got to look at Garrett Wilson of the Jets, second in the league with 483 air yards in the last 3 weeks with a 23.3% target share. Zach Wilson's back, but the Jets are pushing it downfield to him, so the volume's looking good. A veteran wide receiver with surprise volume right now is Keenan Allen. He has seen 316 air yards in his last 3 weeks, which ranks 9th in all of football, and he has a solid 28.2% target share. Last few years, he's been trending a little lower in ADOT. It's good to see him get the ball pushed to him downfield here when it's playoff time. Now we're looking at some more wide receivers who are getting workload, but they're not top-tier guys. They're more middle-of-the-road guys. First off, it's Mack Hollins. He's been a waiver wire dandy this year, but he's seen 269 air yards in his last 3 games, and he's averaging 89.7 air yards per game during that time span. Also, holding down a 26.9% target share, so pushing that into elite territory. So he's looking like an alpha here in volume standards for fantasy football. Can't be on waivers anymore. He's got to be rostered. He's a player who's getting volume and he's getting air yards. A new wide receiver who's stepping to the table here is Rasheed Shaheed from New Orleans Saints. Chris Olave's banged up. He's seen 123 air yards in his last 2 games. We could see an uptick in his usage. We should see an increase in workload, so he could be valuable in the future. I don't recommend chasing him if there's other options, but if you're in a deeper league, this could be a guy for you. You need to give these 2 rookie wide receivers some more respect because they're seeing a lot of volume. First one's Drake London. He is averaging 136 air yards per game in his last 3 games. The other wide receiver is Jahan Dotson. He's averaging 92.2 air yards per game in his last 3 games, while also seeing a 22.2% target share. Good volume for these rookie wide receivers. Volume, workload equates to fantasy points. You can't get fantasy points if you're not getting targeted and if the ball's not coming to you downfield. These next wide receivers, they're just straight up dart throws. They're straight up gambles, but they could hit big for you. The first one's Alec Pierce from the Colts. He's averaging 85 air yards per game in his last 3 games, seeing an 85% route participation rate, and has an 18% target share. Big Dick Nick is back, so we don't know what's going to happen here. It's ambiguous, but he is the deep yards guy. They let him run downfield. They chuck it to him, and if he converts on a couple of those, then he could have a decent week. Look at him as a Josh Allen-less Gabe Davis. Moving on to another player just like him is Marquez Valdez Scantling. He's 6th in the league in deep targets with 6 of those. Those are targets that are going for 20 yards or more over the last 3 weeks. Also has a 13.2% target share. He's a hope and prayer type of wide receiver. You don't really want to start him, but some of you guys have to start a wide receiver like this. Obviously, the dandy start and pray wide receiver is always going to be Gabe Davis. He's a shot and prayer every week. He's got a 94.8% route participation rate over his last 3 games. He's had 212 air yards in those last 3 games while averaging 70.7 air yards per game. He's a deep target. And if he hits on 1 or 2 of those, that's a splash week. We've seen that happen multiple times this year. We've seen it last year. He's good for a few games like that. He's just a hope and a prayer. Another hope and a prayer that you may want, but I do not recommend it, is Noah Brown. Had a big game last week. 214 air yards in his last 3 games, a 17.2% target share, an 82.2% route participation rate. He's a dart throw in good game scripts. He's also dealing with a foot injury. Also, the volume in the Cowboys offense can be suspect at times and is not likely to consistently push out big numbers for Noah Brown. The last dart throw I have for you is Tutu Atwell. 267 air yards in his last 3 games. That's with Baker Mayfield in 2 of those. Also has a 22.8% target share. He's a gamble off waivers, just like a lot of these dart throws. These guys are best for DFS max entry tournaments. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then disregard that. because it's not for you. These guys are start and pray players. You're not relying on them, but sometimes you got to throw them in your lineup. But when it comes to the process, you want to chase targets, you want to chase air yards. These are some of the wide receivers who are trending up. Let me know in the comments below who you starting this week. Who's your set of wide receivers for round 2 of the playoffs? Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. It's only going to help you going forward. I'm looking at the trends. I'm looking at the spreadsheets, trying to give you ideas for lineup advice, pickups. Also, I'm here for dynasty and rookie drafts as well. I want to thank you for watching.